Hey, what's up guys? Prepping that here, and the reason for this video is to talk about how I successfully completed a road trip through most of Mexico with virtually no problems and no hassle. But we're gonna start with the reason why I had to do this. Back in 2021, when we decided to build a house, I needed help. There's something that is missing here in the mountains is workforce. There is no workforce. Everybody is busy. The few people that are out there and are in the trades are very busy. And there's a wait list for every contractor of about 2 years. So me being in the industry and wanting to build the house, which is right behind me, I'll give you a little look in a bit. I knew I needed help, so I called a friend from Washington State, but he was originally from Mexico, and I knew everything he could do. I said I need help to build my house, and I offered to pay more that they were paying him where he was working, so he said yes, and he moved up here and helped me. Usually, the regular time to build a house around here is about 2 years. The process from the moment you start to build a house till the moment you finish is very common. That takes any contractor about 2 years, and everybody is okay with that. We built this house in 11 months. Now it was not just him and I. We definitely had people dig the foundation, the hole for the foundation. People pour the foundation. We had framers, and right after the framers, it was me and him finishing the exterior, wrapping the house, doing all the siding, soffit, fascia. We also had inside, we had an electrician and a plumber, and but him and I did everything else: kitchen, cabinetry, flooring. We also had drywallers. Anyways, we built it in record time. He did me a solid favor. So when he decided that he wanted to go back to Mexico, he started to look into legalizing his truck. He had an F-150, and he also had a lot of tools. So he obviously had to bring him home with him when he moved back. So I noticed that there was some frustration in the process of him trying to get his vehicle legalized to move back to Mexico. There was too much bureaucracy, and they want to charge you an arm and a leg when you are in a different country wanting to come. It's easier if you can somehow get the car down there and do all the paperwork down there. Is faster and cheaper. So him having being the helping hand that he was for us, really a crucial helping hand, I decided to help him, and I said, hey, let's put everything on my name, your truck, your trailer, and we'll drive down there and everything's gonna be on my name, because him being a Mexican national, everybody will give him grief and try to get money out of him for having or circulating through Mexico with American plates, but him not being an American citizen. He basically was just on a work permit for some time. So I said, let's do it, let's do this, and this is the way we approached it. We did a lot of intel. Okay, beforehand, before we did this trip, I was following three crucial Instagram accounts of people that are independent journalists and report on everything that's happening in Mexico. All right, so I'm gonna write the accounts in the description if you're interested in this. But I wouldn't do a road trip through Mexico just out of wanting to take a road trip. Not, I rather, if I wanted a vacation in Mexico, I would take a plane and go directly to the vacation spot. But driving through Mexico is really not something I'm interested in, unless you have that kind of spirit of adventure and are willing to put up with anything that can happen, because anything can literally happen while you're traversing, all that land. So we started doing intel months before, and I started following these accounts, and they always post events that are happening with cartels or police, or cartels against each other, or cartels against different armed forces and whatnot. So I would come to my friend and say, look, this is happening over there, check, what do you think? And then we would look at the location and go to the map and figure out the route that we're going to take to avoid these places where things were kind of like hotter than everywhere else. And so Intel is the first step. Now, for something to qualify as Intel, has to have two main characteristics. It has to have more, but the two main ones are is verifiable and is actionable. So the verifiable. Hey, we're looking at what happened on video. We're looking at reports on the newspapers. We're looking at testimonies of the people involved, and then actionable. How are you going to act, or how the event is going to affect your actions? In this case, the route that we were going to take. So once we had a route plan, it was all through toll road, so it's a little bit safer than the open highways. If you choose to take the toll road, it's a little bit safer. Once we started the trip, we left at night. We were not decided if we were going to drive through the night. We thought we knew some people that had done it, but it was something that we were a little not sure about, and we could not find a recent source of intel in this subject, which is driving at night through a toll road in Mexico. Which is, there were people that had done it, but it had been a few years. There were people that had done it way before. We couldn't find a recent report. So we were not decided if we were going to just drive through the night, day and night, to get there faster, or just stop and rest. Regardless, I scheduled my flight to come back, and so we had basically from Wednesday night until yesterday Monday was when my flight landed back here in Colorado. First of all, I want to say that I put my life and my well-being in God's hands. I prayed a lot over this matter, and I was definitely worried and nervous when we jumped into the adventure. Adventure started as soon as we left. We left at 9 p.m. on Wednesday, and we are 2 hours and 45 minutes, and we're still in Colorado, bordering New Mexico, and our alternator died, completely died. And we knew it was the alternator because the battery gauge went down on the dashboard, and he woke me up as I was sleeping while he was driving. Originally we were going to take turns, but that's not what we did because we were able to stop and rest. But anyways, the alternator died, and he knew it was because he had gotten a new battery that day. The old one started to act up, and he figured, is the battery? Changed it. Well, it turned out it was the alternator. 11:45 p.m. We are borderline between Colorado and New Mexico, and the alternator dies. We just so happened to be maybe a mile before the only one 24-hour gas station in La Jara, Colorado, which is where the alternator died. I said, let's keep driving, and hopefully we'll find a gas station. Sure enough, there it was. We got out, and I had this feeling in my heart that there was a reason for this. Instead of thinking negative and thinking that we had started on the wrong foot, I knew that God didn't want us to keep going that night. That's the way I looked at it, and I realized I am so grateful. At the moment when it happened, I said, I'm so grateful that this happened here, because it could have happened on the Mexican side in the middle of nowhere in the mountains, because we cross valleys and mountains. It's just like here. You can go through fields and mountains forever, for a long time. So I was really grateful and decided to see it that way. We slept really cold that night. We slept in the car, and then the people at the gas station allowed us to come in and plug a charger to recharge the battery, which was completely dead, and it charged for 6 hours until it was completely full. The next morning, through Google, we located the part. One of the ladies that works at the gas station had her son come over, picked us up, and take us to buy the part. And then we came back, and we all did the mechanic thing, and we were able to install the alternator ourselves, and we left by 10:30. Um, Once we got to Mexico, the their border people, their customs, were pretty corrupt. You could tell that they wanted to get some money, but they didn't ended up giving us a discount on the real amount that we would have paid if we did everything in order. They were just lazy. They didn't want to check our cargo. They didn't want us to unload and go through all the boxes. So if they did that, we would have had to pay 16% tax on everything that he was taking to Mexico. Instead, they just wanted $500 cash and 150 on a card to give us our declaration of cargo. You can't. Everybody will ask you for your declaration of cargo after the border. So we did that. If they would have checked everything, all the merchandise, tools, electrodomestics that my friend was bringing to Mexico, it would have been over $1,000 in real taxes that we would have had to pay. So that was a huge discount. You're not supposed to bring many items to Mexico, one of them being gasoline. And we had 4 big containers of gasoline full. And I asked him, can we just dump it and let me keep the container so we can refill in Mexico because we're going far. And he just laughed and didn't say anything else about the gasoline. And once we paid the money, they let us go. So they didn't even matter. They didn't even care, about the gasoline, and we were just completely dumbfounded by it. Like, wow, they let us keep our gas. Great, we don't have to dump expensive item or utility right now. Gasoline is nothing cheap. So, anyways, once we crossed, we went to another border office where we got a permit for the vehicle, which was under my name. So the permit was issued for 6 months, so you can circulate anywhere in Mexico with American plates. Then they gave me also a permit for myself, for my person as a tourist. They asked me, how long are you going to stay? I wasn't going to say 5 days because they'll figure out you're going to sell the car or you're going to transfer this car once it's in. I said, I'll take a vacation for like 3 weeks. So they gave me a month. When I was standing in line, something curious happened. I had been praying the whole time, like I mentioned, months before we took this trip. So the moment we made the decision, every time I thought about the subject, I had a prayer in my heart, and I literally prayed and just asked God to let me come back to my family unscathed and well, And so as I was standing in line to do all the paperwork, there was a guy, older man, that mentioned that he goes and does his road trip pretty often. And he asked me where I was going, and I described, and he said, "Whoa, where you going is really deep into cartel land, cartel zones." And he said, "Don't travel at night. Don't travel at night." He said, "Just go as far as you can with the daylight. Get a hotel for the night, and yeah, that'll be the safest way to go." At that moment, I knew that was an instrument in God's hands that was giving me the answer that we have been searching for months now. We were not sure, like, can we drive at night? We know of people that have done it, but not recently, And I knew that was my answer, so that's what we did. We drove through the day through just toll roads, and I'll be on a Google or looking for a hotel. And one time it was a close call. The second night we had to get a hotel, and we were through just endless country, and we realized the closest hotel was a couple hours past sunset, and but we made it. We got to the hotel about 10 p.m. 10, something like that. And yeah, it was a little nerve-wracking to be driving at night through country, in a country that it can be absolutely not hospitable to foreigners. The good thing is that I speak the language, and I thought, worst case scenario, I'll try to work. First you try to pay them off, give them anything they want, be respectful, and yeah, just and try to not look for trouble. So the second night we got to the hotel and was really grateful about that, and the whole rest of the way continued like that. Thankfully, we got checked by police 5 times, and they were looking for something wrong. They were definitely looking for something wrong. They were like, "You have a declaration of at the border, give them the paper. Do you have the permit for the vehicle? Give them the paper. Is the vehicle on your name? Yes, give them the driver's license." And just like this, it just kept going like this every checkpoint, and you could see in the police face the disappointment that they couldn't find one flaw. When we finally got to the last checkpoint, that the officer that was there went the extra mile to try and get some money out of us, and he said, he gave us the signal to pull over. We pulled over, and I take off my seatbelt and turn around because all the paperwork is in the back seat. And when he came to the window, he said, "Why, your seatbelt is off?" And I said, "I just took it off to get the papers from the back seat." And he said, "Are you sure? You sure? Because you should be wearing a seatbelt." "Yeah." He said, "I can't reach the back seat if I don't unbuckle." But we were stopped, so that was the first thing that he was trying to do to see if we get nervous or he can get some money out of us. Then he started to check all the paperwork. But in the end, he asked for insurance. And here's the funny thing about car insurance in Mexico: almost nobody has it. Maybe in the capital, but not in the country. And this is something my friend told me: nobody carries insurance, and the police don't ask you for insurance because they know nobody has it. You're supposed to have it, but they don't enforce it. So since they don't enforce it, people don't do it. But this guy is an American with American plates and an F-150 and a trailer full of merchandise, and he figures he's not gonna have insurance here. But when he asked for it, we pulled it out. He took a look at the card, and you could tell his face just being so sad. And he said, "Okay, you guys just keep going." And we finally made it to our destination. Whoa, it's getting really cold here. So anyways, guys, I'm so grateful to be back. Nothing really happened. All the police, where is municipal police, federal police, road security, they call it like road safety, what we call here like either highway patrol or state troopers. um, they were all heavily armed, and thankfully we did not run into a single cartel checkpoint. But we had money everywhere, so we exchanged dollars for Mexican money, and we had it on one spot in our wallet. And then we had an emergency fund with dollars in another spot. And then the rest of the money that we were really going to bring into Mexico was in our shoes, in bags tied up to our legs, and in secret pockets. I put some inside my socks, and I will bundle my socks all equally, but some had a few $100 bills, and that's the way we hit them. So in case they are not happy with what you pull out of your wallet, you say, "Well, the other thing that I have extra is this," and you go to the next pocket, and that makes it look like it was everything you were carrying. So anyways, guys, if you have to go to Mexico for some reason, I'm gonna post the accounts to follow in the description. But if you don't have to do it, just fly to your vacation destination, to the closest airport, and just take a certified taxi that they usually have at the airports to the place. I got to see some beautiful landscape, and I'm grateful for that, because I got away with crossing Mexico by land when everybody said and everybody knows how dangerous it is. Even the locals, when we got there, when we finally made it to our destination, everybody was impressed. Everybody was saying, "You guys got so lucky, you guys did everything right," and everybody was so happy that we made it. So yeah, basically, my friend helped me build this house, and that is why I helped him get back to his home. And let me give you a little peep. I know this has been a long video, and I'm sorry, guys, but I wanted to share, you know, the goodness of the Lord when you commend your life in His hands. And when you do your homework, remember, God will move a mountain for you, but you have to show up with a shovel. I love you guys. Have a fantastic week. I'm happy to be back in America. I'm happy to be back in Colorado. I'm happy to be back in my mountain. I love you guys. Be good. Have a relationship with God, and always, always pre-plan everything. Because if you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. Take care, everyone. Prepping that, going dark.